Hi, everyone. I'm Leah Dunlap, the Oracle on Purpose, and this is Oracle Live TV. Welcome to the show. So I know that some of you right now are watching this in a watch party, which is awesome. And we're really glad you're here. We're really glad someone was smart enough to invite someone like you to join our show tonight. However, one of the things we want you to know is that you could actually be in the room with us in the live audience asking questions. So I want to make sure that if you're watching this right now, you hop on in by using the link that should be below this video you're watching right now so that you can be in the room. Once you're in the room, you can ask questions. You can say hello to our guests. You can ask the guest questions if you'd like. And speaking of questions, you might be asking, what is an oracle? I know that I get that question on a pretty regular basis. So I want to go ahead and share really quickly how I became an oracle and why I have created Oracle Live TV. So I see some of you are in the room. Thanks for joining us. And make sure when you come on inside, tell us who you are and where you're from. What part of the world, what part of the country, we'd love to know. So I actually found out that I was an oracle when I was 14 years old. And the reason I found that out was because I actually had a full body apparition show up in my bedroom during a very traumatic experience in my life. And when I saw this vision in my room, I could no longer deny that all of the ideas and thoughts and visions I had had previously were real. You see, when I grew up in a family where things like that weren't really talked about. And the moment that I actually saw it for myself with my own eyes, of course, and in a time when I knew I was awake and I was clear, that it really was something that I had been experiencing for a very long time. And when I was younger, my family would tell me that I had imaginary friends, that I was telling stories, that even sometimes they would tell me that I was having nightmares or dreams. But at that point, when I saw this vision for myself with my own eyes, I knew that there was something different happening for me. Luckily, my grandmother then at the time told me that, that there was always something special about me. And that's the way she framed it. So for me, I always felt like it was just that. It was a special gift that I had. And I loved to share it with other people. And when I was even younger, and in school, I would share it with my friends. So if they had a question or if they had a concern, they would come to me and they would ask me these questions, hoping that I would give them an answer or some sort of insight that could help them to move through whatever they were going through. I remember one particular time, a young friend of mine had found out after many years that she was adopted. And as a fellow adoptee, I know what a difference that can make in someone's life. But to have been at her age, about 16 or 17, when she found out, thinking all that time that she had been part of the family, it was really traumatic for her. And in the process of sharing with her the insights that I got from the Oracle about how her parents decided to adopt her and why they chose not to explain to her that she was adopted, she was able to feel more comfort about it. And we also talked a little bit more about why she found out, which she found out from her brother, who decided during a fight they were having that it was a good thing to kind of get at her with. But luckily, through that process and her and I talking, she was able to understand what a gift it was, that their parents had really thought that this was the best way for her to feel part of their family, which is what they wanted. And she was able to feel much more comfortable about how to move forward. And a lot of those things that she was feeling all those years growing up started to make a lot more sense. So I knew then, and I know now, that sometimes the insights that I have for people are just that. They're validation for things that they're already feeling a little bit inside themselves. And they're just the right validation for them to move forward, which ultimately, that's why I call myself the Oracle on Purpose. The purpose part, why you're meant to be here, what you're meant to be doing in your life, in your work, in your world, that's the key for what the Oracle delivers through me. And so when I was given the mission by the Oracle to reach thousands of people this year, I thought to myself, how am I going to do that? How am I going to reach as many people as possible with her message and with the right message for them? And that's how Oracle Live TV was born. It's the opportunity not only for these guests to come on and share the amazing work that they're doing to be on purpose, but to hopefully give them a little insight, a little help, a little direction if they need it, to keep moving forward. And what I found over the last few months in doing this work is that many times those people who are watching, people like you who are in the audience, either in the watch party or inside the room, that you guys are also receiving guidance. You're also receiving insight. You're also receiving sometimes those aha moments just from what the guests are saying that really help you propel and move you forward. And that's why this is important to me. As I said, I am Leah Dunlap, the Oracle on Purpose, and you're watching Oracle Live TV. Now, the great thing about Oracle Live TV is it's not just watching. This is interactive, right? This is the opportunity for you to participate, to share your questions, to share your insights, to play along and get engaged with the process, right? With that, we have one of the things we like to do here on the show, which is the hashtag Insight Prize. And so tonight's prize, I'm going to share really quickly, is a really cool set. I love to journal. I'm a really big proponent of gratitude journals and all kinds of journaling, but especially gratitude journals. So I found this really great set of pens, and I like all things sparkly, just going to tell you. So there's this great set of pens, and there's 3 of them. For some reason, one is missing right now. I think I probably was using it earlier. So there's a gold and a bronze, we'll call that bronze, and silver. But the great thing is they have these beautiful little crystals inside, which are hard to show you on the camera. But the great thing is you'll get all 3 of them in a nice box set that will be delivered to you personally in like real life mail. And I love presents, right? So why not join us, play along, share your insights as you hear what the great things are that both of our guests tonight have to share. And again, insight means anything. Anything gives you a sense of an aha moment. So don't overthink it. It's a fun prize. It's an easy contest. There's no big rigmarole there. The other thing that people come on to the show to do is, of course, ask their own questions. So we try our very best to give some time at the end of the show so that we can actually answer questions. By we, I mean myself and the Oracle. That being said, how do I know you have a question? Well, if you do have a question, whether you come on now and have it, or as you're listening to the show, you have it, all I need you to do is put Q&A and then list your question. And at the end of the show, like I said, I'll go back through those as quickly as I can and try and grab as many as I can and we have time for to share an answer from the Oracle. So without too much further ado, we're going to get ready in just a moment here to share our first guest. And I want to let everybody know again, the hashtag Insight is just for the prize. So you can say anything at all that comes to mind in regards to what we talked about tonight. And if you have a question, you do not have to wait, okay? Ask your question at any time, and we'll come back through the list and make sure that we catch it. And the last thing that I wanted to share, of course, is as you listen to these guests, keep an open mind, because I know that the Oracle is always working on all of our best behalf. And there may be something that she said to a guest that really aligns and speaks to you. So keep your ears and your mind wide open. Enjoy listening to these great guests because they will all be bringing their own genius, their own magic. And I love to share that with you. Also, if you see what they're doing and decide that you too would like to be a guest, I'll share in a little bit how you can actually be a live guest in the show as well. So before we go much further, I want to go ahead and introduce our first guest. I'm really fortunate because our first guest is someone that I had the opportunity to work with in the past and who is doing incredible work with women in the world. And what I love about her, and you might have seen it if you've been watching the Facebook post, is she has this beautiful smile and this great energy. And when you watch her laugh, promise you're going to want to laugh or smile too. It's contagious. So I'm really excited because I know that the work that she's doing in this world is really important. And I'm so glad that she's here so that I can share that work, but also give her any support from the Oracle so that she can continue to really deliver what she's meant to deliver. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome Jessica Tomlinson to the show. She's a radiantpreneur. And I knew I was going to stick up on that one, radiantpreneur. So I love that she's here. Tell us, Miss Jessica, tell us more about what that means, because I knew as soon as I wrote it down, I'm like, I'm gonna have to really slow down, which is not easy for me. Tell us more. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks for asking. First of all, hi Leah. Thanks for
Hi,
having me here. It's
welcome to
so
the
good to
show.
play with you. Yeah. Radiantpreneur. So that phrase came out of this concept that I've always longed for myself and for other women who are doing work on purpose, as you talk about, to really feel radiant on the inside, but also to not hold back from expressing their radiance on the outside, whatever that looks like for them, whether that's their full range of self expression, their playfulness, their fierceness, their sexiness, or whether that's how they're communicating or the way that they're wanting to adorn themselves. It's just, that's my deepest desire, is that people really come home to who they really are and fall in love with who they really are, and that they share that with the world.
I love it. I think what always just lights me up about you is the pureness of your commitment to really letting people shine. I mean, it's so genuine that you really want to be there to let people explore and express themselves. Tell me, how did that come about for you? How did that become such a passion for you?
Yeah. Well, I think like many of us, it comes about through our own stories. And so for me, I grew up as the oldest child in my family, the oldest grandchild, always got very good grades, always, kind of was involved in all the things, and learned that if I performed or behaved a certain way, that would give me love. And I love love. So I wanted to feel that love all the time. And yet the sacrifice was that I had to be this person who I thought I should be. And I didn't really learn that it was okay to not do what everybody else thought I should do or be who everybody else thought I should be until my late 20s. So, like 10 years ago or so. It's only been like 10 years of this journey for me. Um, and yet, when I discovered that I didn't have to, it was both scary and also so freeing. And just like physical things, weird things that would happen to me, like stomach cramps, like all of a sudden went away. Feelings of like fear, of, oh, I can't do that thing because who would I be? Or I can't show up that way. And it just started to feel like everything was flowing in my life. Um, and so I want that for every person on the planet, of course, but I specifically support women. And I don't want anyone to ever feel like they have to be something. And especially these parts that so often in entrepreneurship or as feminine leaders, we create in our minds, whether very well-meaning mentors have told us that we should be this way because that's going to get us XYZ results, or whether it's somebody in our family that is afraid that if we're too woo, on social media, that that's going to mean something. Like, whatever it is for each individual person, like I just want to support them in that, like owning that, and if anything, being more of that, because that's where our true gifts lie.
Right. Oh, of course. I'm so in love with that idea too, right? The concept that we be more of who you really are. And
Yeah.
I want to share that you have somebody giving you a shout out, so I want to make sure we show you. Ali says, "Yay, Jess!"
Yay! Thanks,
Ali,
Allie.
thanks for watching. So it's interesting to me as you said that. Oops, there we go. Because one of the phrases that for me when the oracle talks, it's like these little flashes. She's like, oh, like a little spotlight went on the phrase, this phrase you said, which is, who would I be?
Yeah.
I think that's such a great pivot point for people.
Yeah.
So when did what you said, you were in your 20s and that happened for you, like to let go of it.
Mhm.
Can you tell me, and I know that there's this intuitive side of you as well, like when did you know like
Yeah.
that was a thing to let go of or to break out of?
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many different moments, but the one that really impacted me was somehow I found myself just surrounded by these amazing women. And so I'm very much a learner. Like I just kind of absorb people's, examples, like, wow, they're doing this, and like their energy, behind whatever they're doing. And I'm like a sponge, for possibility. And so if I see it, then I'm like, ah. And so I found myself in Las Vegas, just surrounded by all of these amazing women entrepreneurs that were doing really cool things and showing up in ways that really inspired me. And one of my first deep connections that I made was with this woman who I think you met at one of the transformational leader retreats that we were at. Her name is Tanya Lynn. She leads Sistership Circle in San Diego. Yeah. So me and her connected at an event. Like I'd started to be surrounded by all these entrepreneurs and women leaders. And we connected at an event in New York. And I told her I lived in Las Vegas. And she goes, I want to start a circle in Las Vegas. And I said yes immediately, because that's what I do if I feel it. And she didn't believe me. And yet I started a circle. I didn't know who was going to be part of the circle. I could just feel it. And so she was a model for me. I remember witnessing her sharing very vulnerably at the beginning of an event where she didn't know anybody except for me. And I was like, that she's being so real. And I witnessed how she was free and the audience or the people there were connected and free. It's just like, it's this permission piece.
Right.
So I would say that was the biggest. Yeah.
I love it.
I'm going to charge my computer. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. It's like, it's already red.
We definitely want that to happen. We don't want to lose
back
you.
up. I'm still here.
It's all good. It's all good. And this, everyone, this is real live TV. See, I love it.
It was fully charged. I don't know what's happening.
We are pulling a lot of energy. Sorry, I do that. I'm not good with electrics.
Okay, we're all good.
Okay, so yes, I always think that's funny when those things happen, because I like to say the Oracle likes to play games, and I like things. If I'm not paying attention, she will make sure we have to pause and pay attention. So
totally,
with that in mind, I think it's adorable. I love Tanya, by the way, as a side shout out to Tanya, because
she's awesome.
I've spoken with her groups as well, and I think that this is a really cool thing that you just mentioned, which is the idea of permission. And I think that as you talk about your journey, that is Alice's Mercury in retrograde. Yeah. Or that, all of those things. Yes. And the permission to be all of who they are. Right. So there's this beautiful transition there to like both pieces of what you're saying, which is just the permission, but also the permission not to be, but to be all of you, right? Like you said, like people that think maybe you're too woo for your family members or things like that, that there is a place for someone to have support around that. So tell me a little bit about how you might be doing, like creating support for people now. What kind of projects do you have on your plate that you're using to continue to share that support for people?
Yeah. Well, the main support that I'm offering right now, which you know about, is the Bali retreat that I'm putting together. And so back in 2015 and 2016, I did this retreat, and it was a lot more general at that time. It was still around this idea of self-care and full expression and owning who we really are. But a lot more general. And so 3 years later, my life has changed quite a bit. And I was like, all right, I'm ready to do this retreat again. And I've got my sweetie pie, Ben, who's a videographer who you know, because he filmed this amazing video for you in Costa Rica. And so I'm like, all right, like this is perfect. Like I support women entrepreneurs. So I'm bringing Ben in to film brand videos for each attendee that comes to Bali with me. And we're going to do this deeper healing work, really owning all these parts of ourselves that can really, I call it the visibility veil, that if we're not owning our full range, we are wasting so much energy. And there's this like this veil as well of like not only how we see ourselves, but how other people are also receiving us if we're constricting ourselves and putting ourselves in this tight little box as leaders, instead of just this like, oh, here's who I am. And not only here's who I am, but like, we are humans. So different days, we're going to feel different ways. And if we don't allow that to come forward, we're going to shy away from visibility and say, oh, not today, and step out of our leadership. And so this retreat is really designed, it's happening in October, and it's designed for women to come together and really like heal around these parts of ourselves that oftentimes we don't really talk about in entrepreneurship, but I know makes all the difference.
I love it. And I can really feel from you like that it's such a important part of your gift to give people that space, that they take the time in the space that to really dive into that. I love it. Well, I'm really quickly going to put this up. I put it in the comments, but just for those of you who are just watching on the screen right now, I want to just share this across the screen so people can find it and find out about it. You said it's in October. Why October? Curious. Is that a good time? I've never been to Bali.
That's a good question. Yeah. So really most of the year is good in Bali. Tropical climate, it's kind of always really like, you know, warm and beautiful. There is like a rainy season and a non-rainy season, and this is the non-rainy season, which is good. So that was part of why I chose it. And just intuitively kind of, you know, when I felt the call to do this again, I knew the energy required and the space I hold for women who I'm calling forward to be part of this. And so I wanted to give myself time as well, because I got the hit back in January. And so I'm like, okay, you know, like let's give me some grace as well, welcoming people in and having some calls with people. Yeah,
definitely a smart move. I mean, I tend to be super type A, so I can relate and appreciate that as a thing, like knowing that that's a thing. So and I love that you're saying you're calling these women in. Tell me who's that woman? Who is that woman that's going to be the best person to participate in this?
Yeah. The woman who is the best to participate it really all comes down to a deep desire to really shine and be seen. So like owning all parts of herself, and also has a very important message and just wants to be who she is in doing it, you know, is maybe tired of kind of feeling like she has to be put in a box in order to quote unquote be successful in business, and has a really important message, and also knows deep down that if she were to remove that visibility veil, really allow herself the freedom to fully self-express, that is where her power lies. And there's just this little piece. It's kind of like, oh, I don't know, because it's a little too scary. I want to hold these women in that, and for them to know without a shadow of a doubt that like who they are is more than enough. In fact, it's amazing.
Yeah. I love that. I love the imagery of that. And I love the genuine care you have to hold people in that space. So I'm curious, how can the Oracle and I support you in your continued expansion and visibility, and in creating this mission for yourself right now?
Yeah. Well, the whole reason that, I mean, I know how amazing you are. Like, I've received your support. And so I'm super grateful to be able to receive the gifts of the Oracle. And it's around this retreat. You know, I care so deeply, and I really am so excited to be doing this retreat again, even though it's shifted. You know, a lot of the things that I'm doing are similar, and just I know the impact it's had on previous women, and yet something that feels like it's not aligning because it just feels really hard. And by hard, what I mean is there's been lots of women that have shown interest, and you know, some have submitted applications. I actually just got 2 people that booked their calls, which is awesome because something started flowing this past week. So maybe it was just saying yes to being on your show. So I've got 2 calls coming up, which is so awesome. And yeah, I feel like there might be this piece of like, okay, does something need to align? Because I'm not one to push, right? So I'm like here to surrender and be like, all right, so I just need to like let this go or keep
Yeah.
holding the vision. So yes, that's my question.
Yeah. Well, I love it because as you were talking, you know, I love when the Oracle's guidance is really like laser. That's always my favorite kind of like, she's like, oh, you have to let go of the past version.
Mm-hmm.
It's so different this time.
Yeah.
And it's just, there is something, and as everybody's watching, I'm getting like the full Oracle flush right now about this. Like, this is about you putting to, that's the thing I like to say, I guess, a lot. Putting that old version of the retreat to bed and
Yeah.
really opening up to the grander, newer vision of it in a way that your own clarity of that vision comes through to the right people, right? So there's a
Mm-hmm.
piece of this in a way, of course, you know, heal or heal thyself, like the veil of there's a past shadow of what it was before. I don't so what I just got was a sense of there's a little bit of sadness in that. Does that speak to you, like of the old ways of how it was, maybe?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really interesting because the reason why I haven't done one in the last 3 years is because so much kind of grief has happened in my life, right? And it's really like shifted me in how I show up as an entrepreneur. And even just, you know, now I have a really solid partnership. And what's interesting is Ben and I are moving back to Vegas. That's
Ah,
happening. So there's like this whole kind of full circle transition. And so what's interesting these past 3 years with, you know, losing my best friend and then another friend dying and just lots of grief stuff,
mhm.
has been a conversation in my head of like, oh, my previous life and my now life. And I know I've changed, right? That's like part of our evolution. And so
Yeah,
it definitely
yeah,
resonates.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So there's this, yeah. So it's kind of interesting because you're showing me like, which is beautiful, by the way. The imagery I'm getting is, have you ever watched in a show? I don't know why this is coming, but an old show when they have an old house and everything's covered up, like people have left the house and everything, all the furniture is covered and all of
Oh,
that.
yeah. Yeah.
Right? So
Yes.
she's showing me going back, which is why this is funny you say Vegas, going back to that home, but pulling like when they sweep the white sheets off and everything's like somehow still the same, but completely different, like seen with new eyes. And
Yeah.
so there's a part of that though, which was really sweet about it, which was they were gray. They weren't white. They were gray, like veils, but they were very gray. So there's this part that's being pulled away from that so that you can have like a fresh perspective
Yeah.
of what this means now and how different it can be, and that it's like that was then, this is now, and that being then, all of the sweetness and nostalgia and all of that that goes with that kind of
Right.
needs to be put down. Like it's like you can appreciate it and then move forward. So there's
Yeah.
some piece there, I think that she's just showing. But the beauty is like as I say, if it's coming over this shoulder for me, it means it's moving out. So you're in
Mm.
the process of moving that out. I don't know whether I mean, not that I'm taking any credit, but I think by claiming like we're going to come out here, we're going to talk about this, you probably did shift something inside of yourself that said, okay, there's got to be something different. And like the universe, like, yay, let's do different, Jess. Let's do different because different is the new for you. Like all of these things that you appreciate about it
Yeah.
get to stay, but they all look different now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
Good.
if there are pieces of it that feel like they still apply, doesn't mean you have to let go of those, but the stories about them go.
Right. And like how it's
Yeah.
going to look, because I
Yeah.
mean, you know, the women in the past retreats have been like, this changed my life. And like, I
Yeah.
feel healed and like, and they're amazing comments. Right. And so I think part of my like little ego mind is like attached to like, whoa, like we've got to do this like similar so that women have amazing, you know, transformation. And yet, yeah, I'm different. 3 years later, it's going to be a different group of amazing women, and just allowing that to shine through. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Good. Does that feel complete, or is there a piece of that still that you want to check in on?
I think it definitely feels complete. Yeah. it feels complete. I can already
Okay.
like start to feel and see like the vision a little bit shifting. So.
Good, good. Yeah. So that would be my encouragement. Thank you so much from the great question and for the amazing work you're doing. And I know that as those people are already coming in, that's the other side. Here's a bonus tip, or no, not tip, bonus insight. Um, these are different people too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and it's good. It's good that they're different people because you're different. So yeah, thank you
Thank
so much for being
you.
here. What
Thank
a great
you.
question and what great imagery. I just love that image of just everything being fresh, but
Mm.
all the same. All right. Thank you so much. For those of
Thank
you
you.
watching and coming on, remember we've got our insight game going on, but also I want to remind you that inside the comments below, we have put the link to Jess's retreat. So feel free to take a look at that. Not now, stay here, but after. It's not going away, I promise you. And also just letting you know that just a reminder that if you're here and you're coming on and you have a question for the Oracle, you can certainly share that by just typing Q&A and then your question. You can also just communicate and share your thoughts about what Jess has said, what our next guest is about to say, by sharing with the word #insight. If you do that, we'll pull somebody's name who's made a comment through the show tonight, and we'll send you a gift for participating. And the reason I do this, just so everybody knows, is not just for fun. It is fun, and I like fun. And I know some of you really also saw that too. Jess's smile is pretty infectious, right? So I like to be joyous. I like for us to have fun. I think that we can talk about subjects that are tender and we can still be in joy about them because there is something beautiful happening all the time with all of us, and that the universe is always on our back and always at our side and always creating things to happen for us. So I know that's the case for Jess. I know that's the case for you. And if something she said, something I say, something I'm going to say soon, or our next guest is going to say inspires you, please share. It's not only great for you because you might win a prize, but it's also a great way for you to kind of really take that knowledge in and hold on to it. Because if we write something down, we're much more likely to remember it. Okay. So if you want to do that, you can do that. And before we go on any further, again, just a reminder, if you would like to make sure that next time we're live, you can see us, you can also type this in the comments. If you type these words, live and view, then we in our system and the little bots that be will make sure that they connect you the next time we're live so you don't miss a minute of all the juiciness. So I'm taking a glass of water because I needed some warm water today. And as Jess would say, I should take care of myself. So I'm doing that. So our next guest, I'm really excited. Some of you may or may not know, my husband is a dog trainer and we have a dog training business. And this next guest, I'm really excited to have her here because I know that when it comes to our animal friends and people in general, but definitely with animals, energy is everything. So our next guest is Uta Lupertz, and she's an animal communicator. I'm really excited to have her here and hear what she is up to as well. So everybody, welcome Uta to the show. Thank you so much for being here, Uta. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're up to right now? Thanks for being here.
Hi, Leah. My name is Uta Lupertz. My business is Pets Point of View. And I started working therapeutically with animals. So initially, I was just dealing with cats. I'm a cat worshiper, because they were goddesses and gods in ancient Egypt, right? And then eventually, one of the world's most abused dogs found me, and the rest is history. And eventually, it will become a book. Long story short, when I started working, I came from a background as a psychic, as an intuitive, and as a very compassionate, empathic person. And very quickly did I discover that animals speak their own language. They're not humans. They have their own DNA, dogs and cats. But that there is often a problem with how we translate that. Dogs are supposed to heel, to sit, to walk. You know this now that you finally disclosed to me what your husband does for a living, right? And when I started working with animals, I did nutrition, I did energy work, and even, and then with my dog, I had to do therapeutic work because he was so abusive and didn't want to leave the house, right? And so I studied T-Touch. I became a T-Touch practitioner, which is for PTSD in dogs and cats and horses. You can also do it with people. And people always said to me, Uche, you need to communicate with animals. And I said, what? Me? I don't know how to do this, because I had this idea that, the violins have to go off, the veil needs to lift, and do. And if you see old pictures of my dog and I, we have the same eyes, right? And literally, I worked with him during his lifetime. And when he died, there wasn't a veil, there wasn't the this or the that, but it was really clear that he said, girl, you got to get rolling here. And I'm like, okay, man. His name is Shiva, and Shiva remains to this day my spirit assistant. And so a lot of the work that I do is rehabilitation, helping people understand how traumatized an animal is. And their vocabulary is a little different. They don't speak English, right? So they speak with their mouth, they bite, they bark, they mark, they scratch, they sniff. And I sometimes call myself, hi, my name is Ute, I'm the public defender. My client doesn't speak English, but I speak dog and I speak cat. And in the evolution of my work, so I love children that are different. I love people that are different. I love animals that are different. I really enjoy it, genuinely. And in my evolution, I discovered that I was really good at showing up with rehab, but I was in the closet about my spiritual work with animals. And that's the mission I'm on right now. It's not one or the other, but to be really out about both. And nobody has to be force-fed any new age lingo here. But I find if I am really out with the mission that I have, which means I would like to raise the vibration of the planet with the help of our animals, so that all of us coexist more harmoniously and can make our Earth habitable for a long time to come, then we're all better off, right? And I discovered in my work, I knew it secretly a long time, that my favorite area of work are those animals that are really close to people, because most people are really afraid.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry, I'm going to stop you because you faded out. And it's such an important thing. Most people are, what were you just saying?
Most people are absolutely afraid of death and dying, And most of our animals die before us. So we have to face some really, really deep things in ourselves. And I absolutely love assisting animals to transition. And a lot of them do it with a lot more grace than we might understand, especially when we're emotionally really close. And I also love to support people to learn new things, because it's such that doesn't mean we don't feel what we need to feel, but it's sacred, special.
Great. So one of the things that I want to say about that, because it's like the second you said that's why I wanted to stop you and have you say that again, is I can really see for you that bond of the transition and that area of expertise really is what your heart is.
Yeah. This is it.
To. Yeah.
Yes, this is it.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. I mean, if I had to do one thing of all the things that I know, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing tops that. Birth and death, right? And I chose death. And it's not all that different, but that's a difference.
Well, right. And well, I think that the point that you're making as well is our animals and many people, I love also just a shout out, because my husband would probably like shake me if I didn't say and acknowledge you for saying animals are different. They're not people. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that message. I think it's so important, and we humanize them. And so that's the extra piece, I think, sometimes of that untanglement when they do pass, that, as you said, I definitely understand that experience, having had many animals in our lives, in all kinds of different transitions, that to know that there's less fear from them than we have over that experience, that we tend to put a lot of our own
Yes.
energy around that.
Yes.
So tell me, as you're doing this now, is this kind of your primary focus now? Is this what you're, I love it. Great.
I love working with very fearful animals also. So the shy ones, the wallflowers, the ones that go like, oh, don't adopt me, or whatever it is, or don't, So I have a soft spot for those. But my main focus is on seniors, coaching people on how to ask informed questions. I don't want to say decisions, because I really feel it's a joint decision between the pet and the person. And again, they don't think like you and I do. They don't complain to their girlfriend, or, it's not like that. But there is something about how we objectify them inadvertently in our culture. And everybody has a good heart. It's not a mean thing. But for example, one of the things that I say to my students who study with me to become death doulas is, if we have an elderly human relative who is really close to dying, we would never say, let's put her down, as in death with dignity. With humans, we say, like here in Oregon, for example, right? And with animals, whether they die naturally, most of them get euthanized. I don't put them down. My pets die. They might need assistance. They might ask for assistance. People have very specific belief systems about that, but they die, right? So I don't put them down. I have the phone. I know how to drive. But in essence, it's how can I assist to make it a sacred experience for everybody involved.
I love it.
And then I grieve. My surviving pets also grieve. And how can I facilitate that process? And also surrender to this lesson. And this is big stuff, When I work with people and they say, I gotta be strong, I shouldn't show my feelings, I say, show your feelings. Here's a box of Kleenex. Your pets know how you feel anyways. That's why they domesticate themselves.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, you can't hide anything from the animals. No. Children and animals, you can't hide anything. They get it right away. Well, I love this, because what I hear as well in your message, and even what Jess was saying, is it is about really standing in who you are. And I love seeing that you're doing that, and that you have this great, strength in your mission, right? You have this resolve that this is really what you're meant to be doing. And I love that. So tell me, as you came on the show tonight, what was that thing that you were hoping to share with the Oracle and get some insight on for yourself and your business?
So first of all, I want to say thank you for inviting me. So it's always great. I can speak about what I'm very passionate about. And so one of the things that I want to say is I would love being cheered on and expanding and becoming more visible. Remember, I said earlier I was in the closet, and not or in the doghouse or whatever you call it, or the cat box. But I want to be more visible to more people that are willing to explore a bigger view of what the coexistence is between us and animals, and that doesn't include plants and trees. But I work with animals. So I know when I work, I'm really good at intimate work. I'm good having a one-on-one conversation with you, regardless of who is listening in, which I hope people will watch the replay, of course. And for me, it's about stepping more into the mission is important enough that I don't play small. Makes sense? I can stay in an intimate space that's different than playing small. And in my kind of conditioning, I sometimes used to confuse that a little bit. Old habits die hard, but it's time.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I think it's really interesting, because as you're talking, the Oracle is showing me these, like, there are all these resources for you, and it is about connection to humans that I think right now is key for you. Like the beautiful thing that I see in this is that as a whole, our entire universe is shifting right now. And with that, with that, there is a wave and a rise. So right now we've been in this place that the Oracle shared with me, it's probably been a year and a half now, about the it sounds kind of odd, but it's like the tsunami of light, right? So there's like this pulling out where all the underbelly, all the underneath stuff is coming to light. It's being exposed. And yet what we're calling back in, and we're like in the process right now, we've been in this long trench before the wave comes back. And some of us have moved into it looking at that wave of light that's coming. And some of us are looking down at the ground going, where'd everything go? Everything we knew, everything we trusted, everything that was the system that it was, and all of those things. And what's beautiful right now in what you're talking about, and what I see more happening with people like yourselves and other light bearers, is that they've suddenly lifted their gaze and saw that this wave of light is coming, right? Like, how do we join that part of it? How do we engage and connect with that part? And what I'm seeing for you is that for you, this shift of knowing so clearly that part of this that you want to represent is the thing that calls out to the others. And the others are people who are also concerned about how we as a world are making things better. And so that can look different. So what I see are people, for example, that are doing, not only ecological, oh gosh, just lost that word, but people that are ecologically minded, that are actually out there doing activities related to the ecology of the world, and to programs that are meant to help save and rescue the earth. But that there are others in that arena. I guess that's like the point she's showing me. It's like an arena. And for you to be in that arena, to be speaking to those people and making those connections, because they're going to be your allies, right? So it's like locking arms, connecting with them, having a larger voice, as you were saying, like, so you could be intimate, like it could be that one-on-one setting, but that it's expanded into a much larger voice by that. How does that land for you hearing that?
Oh, absolutely. Spot on.
Yeah. Okay.
And I also really feel that there is no separation. Whether we choose, no more plastic bag or gardening, it doesn't matter as long as we work for the highest, as long as we are in alignment and as long as we are ethical, and for me, it's important to work with people. A lot of people with animals say, oh, I like animals better than people. And guess what? I don't. I love animals and I love people. It's different, right? But if I didn't like people, hey, it wouldn't be efficient. What I'm trying to accomplish wouldn't be effective, I should say. What
right.
I'm trying to.
Absolutely. And that's what I see is this is lucky for you in that you're in showing up that way. You've already, like I said, you're one of those people looking forward at what can be done. And part of that work is to build strong alliances with others who see that interconnectedness, right? So it's not like, it's not that you are having to give up resources or give up light, as far as like focus by sharing space and energy with others who are doing similar ecologically minded things. It is actually that you guys are raising that volume and turning it up for everyone. For everyone wins, of course, in that. So there's just a reminder, although from hearing what you're saying, I think you're spot on. It's just the reminder that those are the people you want to associate with. And it comes from what you just said, which I love, by the way, is that, the fact that you do love humans and you do want to, it becomes less combative.
Yeah.
right? More inclusive, more, yeah. So that's the piece I think that she's just saying, stay with that and look for people. Really, she keeps hitting on people that are about like ocean ecology and land use, land ecology. So those are your peeps. Those are the ones who are probably the most likely in the way she's showing this to be the most likely paths for you to reach the most amount of energetic shift.
Great.
And probably because there's a bigger spotlight on those, I would say. But more importantly than anything, I think it's because what she's showing me is those are the groups that would have an easy alignment with you.
Yeah, they have
right?
respect for the earth.
Right. And they have respect for the, like, all in its entirety, right? And I think sometimes, even as you said, people that can perhaps be animal lovers, if they're still humanizing the animal that they're loving, then they can kind of separate from humans, and then there becomes this blockage. For you, since you don't have that, you have a much broader and easier path towards that connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you currently associate with, or are you aligned with associations that are doing work like that right now?
Well, I'm a member of a few organizations with regards to death, and I cannot spell the long names. It's all on my website, So, so there is an association for in the Northwest for death, and then there is the International Animal Palliative, super long word, association that I'm a member of too. My apologies, dear listeners and watchers. It's all abbreviated, and I'm a member of several organizations like that. But I also trailblazed my own approach in teaching people that work with animals, say trainers, behaviorists, people that work at shelters, to become pet hospice supporters and animal death doula providers, working as animal death doulas. And that's part of coming out for me, that there are resources, but that I am also having a particular flavor that I'm coining for people to really do their own work in order to serve those that grieve and are experiencing loss. A lot of people, I'm one of them, in facilitating helping gestures. And if I don't pay attention to my own emotional health, I'm not good. I might have technique, but I'm not good, right?
No, absolutely.
And in the thing that I designed, this is designed to help people. What do you say and what don't you say when someone is grieving, et cetera, but also, who are you? What's your relationship to pain and loss? And when you keep working on that, you become a much better provider. You become a much better person in helping a dog, a cat, or horse.
Or person. A person. Yes. Exactly. Well, and I think that that's great. In fact, so since you mentioned that, I'm going to post that here, everyone. Let's go ahead. I'm going to put that on the screen actually too. So I've posted Ucha's web address on the screen in front of us here. I'm going to remove us for a second so people can really see that. And it's also in the comments. And I think that the other question there behind that for the Oracle for you is to start looking at places to, like, conferences to attend. Even for some reason I'm seeing something more like a kind of like a college arena, like a classroom arena. So I don't know if there's like maybe some classes going on close by, but it's you in a setting where you're actually with other, almost like academically speaking about the work that you're doing and your vision. Those are where you're going to start to have the best options for connections that are really ready to be part of that alliance with you. And it really does, the alliance keeps coming up. So I would definitely look at that as an option as well. So, and for all of you out there, pet lovers and all who are watching this, and people lovers as well, you can find Uta at Pet's Point of View, and there are hyphens there. So look at the screen and look at the chat log if you want to follow up with her later. I love that you're here. I thank you for your question, and I hope that as you expand and step into your fullness, as Jess was saying earlier, that you get to be supported and understand that, you know, as I say to everybody, that's what the universe wants from you. It created you on purpose for that reason. So thank you so much for stepping into that purpose. Thank you for sharing tonight. Thank you for the great question. And before we head off tonight, I want to go ahead because we have just a few more minutes left. And I did see some comments here. So I think we got a great comment here that we didn't post earlier. Which was from Alice. I don't know if Ali's still here or not, but Alice said, such an amazing opportunity, gonna be epic. And I'm pretty sure she's referring to Jess's retreat. So you got it from Ali. It's gonna be amazing. So check it out. I don't see any questions tonight, which is perfectly fine. Since I'm going to just make an executive decision because I can, since Ali was the one that made all of the comments tonight, thank you, Ali, for being here. Thank you for showing up and for sharing your insights and cheering Jess on. I think that's great. I'm going to be sending you the Insight Prize tonight, so be aware. And if you're not watching now, hopefully you're watching the replay, and I will get in connection with you to get that over to you in the U.S. Post Office, in the good old mail. So for all of you watching tonight, please do check out the information from both of our guests tonight, not only because I think that they're doing great work, but because when we support each other, when we show up for each other and cheer each other on, that is a function of energy that you can't buy, right? Because the more that we put our energy towards the things that we appreciate, that we love, that we're happy to have around us, the better the focus, the better the worldview is, the better the rising of the tides, if you will, is. So please support those people that show up to shine, because when you do, that light also shines back on you. Please know I'm here every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. So come on back for Oracle Live TV at 6 o'clock. If you'd like to be a guest, feel free to join us, and you can go to the website or oraclelivetv.com. Or, of course, you can use this handy dandy link we've got. And the link to be a guest on the show is now coming up right there. It's super easy. It's a little bit.ly link. Hopefully that'll make it easier for you. So if we don't see you live and in the studio, please come back, be part of the audience so that you can ask your own questions. You can get some great insight from some of these amazing guests that we have. And we will see you next week, Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific. All right. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Thank you to our guests, our beautiful guest, Jessica Tomlinson and Uta Lupertz. And, of course, as always, thanks to the Oracle for the great insights that she provides so that you guys can have that insight and keep moving forward on purpose. All right. Good night, everybody. Have a good one.